Land Bridge Migration Theory by Ben, Leaf, Caitlin, Kylie, and Ava. According to the land bridge theory, Native Americans migrated from Asia to North America across a land bridge that formed during the Ice Age. They were hunter-gatherers and did not live in America.
The Native Americans used the land bridge on the Seward Peninsula in the northwest Alaska. A bunch of animals also used the land bridge like caribou, mountain lions, muskox, mammoths, and bears. They started first using it 16,500 years ago and stopped using it in 1930 because the water rose and now underwater. A lot of Native American tribes came from Siberia, crossing the land bridge from Russia and coming into Alaska.
The ancestors of today's Native Americans reached North America by walking across the land bridge and made their way southward by following passage in the ice in the search for food. The bridge provided an opening for the dispersal of people from Asia into the Americas.
One radical theory claims it is possible that the first Americans didn't cross the Bering Land Bridge at all and didn't travel by foot, but rather by boat across the Atlantic Ocean. Though the evidence for the theory is minimal, proponents argue that the artifacts were developed by an early and still more ancient European group known as the Soltrian culture. Fossils of large mammals dating to the time of the Ice Age have also been found on the Aleutian Islands in the middle of the modern-day Bering Sea. All this evidence indicates that even though it is cold, conditions were good enough for people to have lived on the land bridge itself during the Ice Age.
Willerslev's team found out that until the time the bottleneck area lacked the basic necessities for survival, such as wood for fuel and tools and animals to be killed for food by hunter-gatherers.
The coastal sailing migration theory is based on the idea that the first people to inhabit American traveled in a boat down the Pacific coast, while other people used the land bridge.
The first people who traveled to America followed the Pacific coast. Line hunters and fishermen traveled along.
They decided to travel in the boat for easier transportation, and it was a more suitable environment for human living, occupation, and travel.
The coastal sailing migration theory is said to be around 13,000 BCE and 16,000 BCE.
They traveled the North American by boat and lived in ice-free land called Reguia. Along the way, they hunted some animals and fished to survive.
The coastal migration theory was along the coast of Beringia and the archipelagos of the Alaskan British Columbian coast, continuing down the coast of Central and South America.
Archaeological studies prove that there was early human settlement along the northwest coast. There's also evidence that inland sites there were signs of human occupation earlier than the ice-free corridor. This evidence supported the idea that there was a coastal human migration instead of an inland route.
Some archaeologists argued that the first American might have entered through the continental interior and turned into the maritime way of life.
Cherokee creation theories. The Cherokee convinced the Earth as a great island floating in water, and suspended at each of the four cardinal points. The world grows old and gets worn out. The people will die, the cords will break, and let the world sink, and it will just be water. The Cherokee tribe is one of the biggest tribes. It has 430,000 tribal citizens worldwide. More than 141,000 citizens are within the tribe reservation boundaries of northeastern Oklahoma.
This is the Arctic Region by Lucas, Alexis, Kate, and Talon.
The Arctic region consists of Alaska, Canada, Sweden, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Finland, and Russia.
The climate in the Arctic region is cool and cloudy and around 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the summers, and the weather is drier with less snow in the winters and sunny summer days.
The two tribes that lived in the Arctic region were the Eskimos and the Saami tribe. In the late 20th century, there was about 30,000 to 40,000 Saami in Norway, about 20,000 in Sweden, and 6,000 in Finland, and about 2,000 in Russia. The Saami lifestyle consists of fishing, hunting, reindeer herding, and a little bit of small-scale farming. Their diet consists of high-fat protein and low carbohydrates. With reindeer being the main source of protein, they usually farm wild sorrel and angelica in the summer. Angelica was often eaten as raw treat, and sorrel was boiled in large quantities and mixed with reindeer milk and stored for the winter. In desperate times, the inner bark from pine trees could also be grounded into flour, then baked.
For people to adapt to the harsh climate that is the Arctic region, they all have to develop warm dwellings and protective clothing. Almost all people that live in the Arctic region live in modern houses with all modern appliances, but they all still try to keep their past traditional knowledges and skills. So they try to do hunting, fishing, herding, and try to stick with the native languages.
The land formations that might be seen in the Arctic region are ice caps, glaciers, fjords, barren, tundra, pingos, treeline, northern lights, and the polar ice pack.
The traditional life of the Eskimos lived in very cold snow environments, which explains why they live in the Arctic. Major food sources were seals, caribou, whale, various seabirds, walrus, and fish. Hunting and fishing is the main way they make a living. They hunt caribou, musk ox, and other animals.
The lasting influence on other tribes in modern life is not as widely known as others, but we've got so much from the Arctic region that we don't even notice today. People now are wearing parkas and not knowing where they come from. They consume all kinds of different things that people today wouldn't even think about eating, like reindeer or turning the inside of pine tree bark.
This is the Subarctic Region by Luca, Ethan, Cadence, Jalen, and Shaylin.
In the subarctic region, the majority of the year is the winter. The winter has very low humidity and little precipitation. The days are also very short.
Subarctic people had great skill in hunting, but they also relied on magic, or what they considered to be, and supernatural powers. Food resources were scarce in the harsh subarctic landscape, and starvation was always a threat.
In the subarctic region, the majority of the year is the winter. The winter has very low humidity and little precipitation. The days are also very short.
People had great skill in hunting, but they also relied on magic, or what they considered to be, and supernatural powers. Food resources were scarce in the harsh subarctic landscape, and starvation was always a threat.
The Ojibwe lived in mainly Michigan. The Ojibwe used improved fishing techniques and adopted the use of ceramics. They gradually developed life based off of seasonal fishing. The Ojibwe left scattered fragments of stone tools and pottery to mark their existence on land. They often traded fur with France. In 1820, the Ojibwe leaders met with local Dakota leaders at Fort Snelling to begin negotiating. By 1837, more than 1,000 Ojibwe met Dakota representatives to conclude the negotiation of their treaty, which created reservations for 4 Ojibwe tribes in the state.
The Ojibwe would spend their days hunting, fishing, making maple sugar, making maple syrup, and harvesting wild rice. Going more in detail, Ojibwe women were gatherers and fishers and were often responsible for taking care of the children and cooking. They wore long hide dresses while Ojibwe men wore breechcloths and leggings. Ojibwe men, on the other hand, were responsible for hunting and in some cases would go to war to protect their families and community.
The Ojibwe diet consisted of things that they gathered on the land and also the animals they hunted, including geese, deer, rabbits, moose, elk, caribou, and fish.
From 1736 to 1760, intense territorial conflict between the Ojibwe and the Dakota brought them into a deadly conflict. By the middle of the 1800s, the conflict within the tribe was abandoned. Both tribes were overwhelmed by challenges posed by the immigration of European American settler colonists.
The Ojibways helped develop the toboggan and snowshoes. The toboggan helped inspire the creations of many more sleds today. Snowshoes helped the Ojibways travel easier and farther, which helped spread the culture and ideas of their tribe.
The Dean mainly lived in central Canada in an area called Denendeh. This region includes the Mackenzie River Valley and Barren Ground. The Dean was an oral culture where legends, laws, and learning are shared by mouth and often cherished culture tales. The Dean were very spiritual people.
Related, the tea dance is a deeply religious ceremony for the Dean. Their graves were put along the rivers and trails where people traveled. The Dean were constantly on the move searching for food.
The family clans with the Dean were self-sufficient, providing one another with food, shelter, and education. During the summer months, families would often come together to discuss the land use and trade. They would also come together to perform ceremonies and celebrations. Both genders were educated the same way. The lessons were interchangeable. All children learned how to cook, follow tracks, skin leather, sew stitches, ride horses, and use weapons. Men wore a breech cloth with leggings, and women wore tunics and leggings similar to the men's, or they wore long dresses.
The Dean hunted caribou, rabbit, deer, and moose. Fish would also entwine into their diet. They would take the animal skins from hunting and trade it to other people. They would hunt their food on foot or canoe. In the winter, they would hunt wearing snowshoes. They used tomahawks and spears while hunting.
Influenza killed over 50 million people during the outbreak. From the Dean tribe, around 1,000 people were killed. Since 1992, there were many land claim settlements involving the Dean tribe, which took away a lot of their land.
The Deans helped develop mathematics, philosophy, and fields. They are well known in Manhattan. The Deans are also known for their traditional games such as finger pull, snow snake, stick pull, hand games, and pole push. Some of them, including snow snake and pole push, are very similar to other games such as tug of war and javelin throw. The games provided entertainment and healthier lifestyles for their tribes.